Okay, cool. Hi everyone, my name is Clifford. I'm the Young Greens co-chair nationally in England and Wales. And I'm just here to introduce our speakers today. So firstly, I'd like to introduce Amelia, who is going to talk about our youth manifesto that we produced.
So I'm Amelia Womack, Deputy Leader of the Green Party, and it's an absolute honour to be here today to launch the Youth Manifesto. Now, this manifesto comes in the same week that we've actually become the biggest youth political group across the whole of the UK. And we've been seeing young Greens up and down the country supporting the election of a group of MPs into Parliament for this general election, and specifically working in Brighton with Caroline Lucas and Bristol with Darren Hall to make sure that we have strong representation in the Houses of Parliament. This generation is a generation that has experienced the broken promises of the other political parties. They feel betrayed by the principles that they've been let down by. And in many ways, they've been a generation neglected by politics. And I think that it's clear, with the growing youth, the fact that our youth organisation is growing, Young Greens is growing, that we're proving that the Green Party are giving young people something to vote for. That the Green Party has a new way of doing politics that is inspiring a generation. Our Youth Manifesto contains a pledge to invest in young people. And through a commitment of free education, restoring the educational maintenance allowance, and basically having a better funding for youth, we are inspiring young people to get more active and more involved in politics. This manifesto also contains a guarantee of job creation. Basically, we will end workfare and the idea that if you're, instead of offering training to the unemployed, and we will make sure that we have a living wage rather than just a minimum wage. And it contains a commitment to building a fair and sustainable society, to building an economy that works for everybody, and an economy that works within the boundaries of our planet. We want to build a fairer, sustainable society. But we also want to make sure that we're closing things like the tax loopholes that have only seen the rich getting richer and have benefited the very richest in society. We want to invest in strong and well-run public services, and we want to end the failed austerity agenda that basically has hit our young population the hardest. We're offering bold solutions. We're offering bold opportunities. We're inspiring people to basically get involved with the Green Party, get involved in politics, and challenge the establishment towards a more progressive, greener future. It's clear that for the younger generation, for this generation, the only solution is to vote Green.
Okay, great. Now I'm going to hand over to Natalie, who is, of course, the Green Party leader.
Thank you very much, and I'd like to begin by welcoming you all to Holborn and St Pancras, where I'm aiming to be elected as London's first Green MP. The sun always shines like this here. That's what Holborn and St Pancras is like. I'm absolutely delighted to be here launching the Youth Manifesto today. Obviously, young people are a huge part of the membership of the Green Party, the Green Surge, that's seen our membership go over 60,000. But also, it's really important that we change politics so it feels relevant, exciting, important to young people. And I believe the Youth Manifesto that we're launching today really does offer that. Whether we're starting with the very young youth, as we've got here, and free early years education, whether we're talking about a schooling system that isn't an exam factory that forces pupils through exam after exam after exam and forces teachers to the test, whether it's the restoration of the EMA that means that everyone has the chance to really get stuck into their education in the later years, and of course zero university tuition fees. Because I think there really is a kind of, we're seeing young people feeling really oppressed by the state of society, oppressed by their future. And tuition fees are an important part of that. The fact is that young people will be leaving university with on average £44,000 of debt. And yet the figures show that 73% of them will never pay that debt off. And I think it really, young people are starting to recognise that having to pay any year I'm earning any sort of money at all. 9% is going off to this debt that I'm never going to pay off. It's simply untenable. Now, I think today is a really important day to be launching this manifesto because there's a deadline today, and that deadline is to register to vote. And I've got a real message out there to young people to say, today is your last chance to make sure you can have your say on the 7th of May. Please get online, join one of the many registration drives around the country, and make sure that you're able to have a say in your future. Because if you're not doing that, people are going to count you as you were happy enough with how things are that you haven't bothered. And I don't think that rightly young people are happy with the state of Britain today. So I'm very pleased to launch this manifesto today. I'm proud of our young Greens who have grown so much, who produced this manifesto, who have such an important input in the democratic structures of the Green Party to our policies. We've got great policies for this election, and what we're also offering, and I think this is really important, is hope. There's business as usual politics, and people look at that, and I've often had people on the doorstep say to me, oh, yeah, politics. I'm just so fed up with it. And we need to change that. We need to make politics exciting, politics relevant, politics being something that changes things so that society works for the common good, not just for the few. So I commend this manifesto to you. I say this is a manifesto for the young people of all ages, right through from 0 to 18 to 25 and beyond. We need to change the world. We need to end up with a society that works for the common good, a fair economy, public services that are run for the public good, and of course we have to tackle climate change. All of those things the Green Party promises to do, and I'd urge you to vote Green on the 7th of May. Thank you very much.
That's great. We're going to hear a little bit from Sam now, who's going to talk. She is our school spokesperson for education. So Sam's going to introduce herself and talk a little bit about that.
As I said, I'm Sam Pancheri, school spokesperson. This is Theodore, my youngest. I wanted to talk a little bit actually about how I feel about our youth policies from the perspective of a parent. I'm a mother of 4, and looking toward the future in the past few years has been quite worrying for me. Seeing how our society has been systematically broken down, how our young people have their future eroded through the introduction of top-up fees, through the decreasing job market, through the demonisation of benefit claimants, and particularly in-work benefit claimants, and the loss of available housing. Something that makes me incredibly proud, not just to be a member of the Green Party, but one of the spokespeople, is being able to deliver hope. We've heard a lot about the messages of hope and the promise of the future from our leader and our wonderful deputy leader. And reading through this manifesto gives me a sense that my children and all the children in England and Wales have something that they can look forward to. And so it's our job now to encourage people to go out and vote for these policies, especially the young people who are most affected by them. We're very popular polling amongst the 18 to 24 age group, and yet this is also the age group who also had the lowest turnout for elections. And so what we want to do is to say to those people, support our policies, like our policies, and vote for our policies. Thank you.
So I'd like to introduce Dave now, Dave Cocozza, who is our spokesperson for HE and FE.
Thank you. Forgive me that I'm late. I spent £71 on the train this morning. It was an hour late. So forgive me for that. I am a product of the £9,000 tuition fees. I went to education after a number of years in the workplace, and I am now left with £40,000 of debt, and that presents a huge burden on me, mentally and both for my future. And I think that's wrong for every student to be burdened with that kind of level of debt. So this is why I joined the Green Party partly, was because it's the only party that really believes in young people. It really invests for the future for us, because we will one day be the next leaders of our generation. So the manifesto launched here today is so fantastic for me as a young person, because it represents so much hope, like Sam said and Natalie. And I don't really have much more to add to that, other than the further education policy that we would put forwards reverses the trend that we've seen of 24% further cuts that have been proposed by this government, which is going to decimate our further education. It's going to lose 1 million adult learning places, and that changes the market completely to being an automatic extension to school as opposed to something you can do to retrain and further your life. So I'm really pleased with IFE and HE policies. I'm really pleased to be part of a party that actually listens to its young people. As the young Greens really are democratically involved in the decision-making process of our party, and that's so impressive. And we look at what's happened last week with perhaps Labour's Youth Manifesto, and there were some issues there, and it's just so proud, and I'm so happy to be part of this. So thank you very much for coming today, and we're more happy to answer any questions on further education or higher education. Thank you.
I'm afraid I have to apologise at this point because I'm afraid I have to be in Bristol and on the train to Paddington that I hope I'll make just after 10. Excuse me.
I'll see you soon.
Sorry. Cheers. Thank you.
So finally, I'll wait till the cameras are back. Finally, finally, I'd like to introduce the new policy today. So we are launching 2,000 new young people's centres, and that will be included in our investment of £1 billion in the youth services across the country. Currently, youth services are being slashed extensively, with many local authorities facing 100% cuts in their youth centres. This is an incredibly important policy. Unison did some research a couple of years ago, in 2014, and found 85% of people working in youth services reported that cuts and austerity had caused particularly acute problems for young people from poorer backgrounds. So youth services such as LGBT centres have been closed, and further cuts are promised from such like Boris Johnson in London, who has said he wants to cut youth services by between 80 and 90%. It's really, really important we invest in youth centres across the country, so we'll be launching our policy to double investment from £1 billion currently to £2 billion, creating 2,000 new young people's centres and giving money to places just like this here.